Well, hello and welcome, everyone. I'm Michelle Prince, CEO of Performance Publishing, and I'm super excited about this webinar. I know there are so many people who are thinking about writing a book, or they're either in the process of writing a book. And, now is the perfect time to really begin this process. We're getting close to the end of the year, looking into the new year. There are just so many reasons to write a book. And I'm going to give you everything that I can in a short period of time on how to help you to do just that, how to write a book, publish a book, launch a book, and help you to be an author in the new year. So why don't we go ahead and get started by just asking yourself a question, and feel free to share this in the chat if you like. The chat, maybe I think you're sharing it with me and Jacqueline on my team, but I would really love to know, if you're thinking about writing a book, why do you want to write a book? So there's no right or wrong reason. In fact, there's many, many, many different reasons to write a book. Some people write a book because they want to leave a legacy for their family, their friends, their community. Other people write a book because they want it to be their business card. They either have a business and want to grow the business, or they want to start a business. Maybe they want to get into speaking or consulting, and all these different reasons that a book could elevate them to do those things, and make a difference. There's so many reasons, but thinking about that for yourself right now, why do you want to write a book? And go ahead, again, put that in the chat. I know some of you are wanting to make a difference, and we're going to be talking about why that is so important. But let me give you, while you all are putting things into the chat, let me give you a couple reasons to start thinking about why you should tell your story. There's so many good reasons, but the number one is your story matters. No matter what your story's about, whether you are writing a book or thinking of writing a book that is about personal development, professional development, it matters because you have learned something along your journey that could help somebody else personally or professionally. So it matters. And even if it only mattered to one person, meaning if you knew that something that you've experienced in life, something that you've learned made an impact to somebody else, and it was just one person, would it be worth telling? I think it would. So your story matters no matter what, but it will give you instant credibility. There is something that happens to published authors that they instantly become credible. They instantly become the authority, the expert in the eyes of other people, all because they wrote a book. So there is so much benefit that naturally just comes by being a published author. And by the way, this credibility, this expert status, this happens long before somebody actually reads the book. So it's really about being published versus about what the book is about. The other thing is why you should tell your story, write a book, is it creates so many opportunities. I'll tell you a little of my story, but when I first wrote my book in 2009, I wrote a book back then fully only intending to share it with my family, but it opened up so many opportunities for me that I didn't even know existed, let alone have a plan to make happen. Things like consulting, coaching, speaking, seminars, and doing all the things that I get to do now. I didn't have that on the radar back then because I didn't realize the amount of opportunities that are attracted to authors, but it is true. It will also create leverage. Maybe you're already out there doing great things in your business or consulting, speaking, but you want to have greater leverage to do more, maybe make more, higher rates, things like that. Being a published author will absolutely do that for you. And the other reason is whatever maybe you have a business, maybe you're thinking of starting a business, but we know this to be true. People will do business with people they know, like, and trust. I mean, that's a given. So I think when you share your story, your backstory, why you want to share what you know with other people, it instantly creates a connection with you and other people. It instantly lets people know, like, and trust you, or determine whether or not you're a fit for them. So I believe that telling your story is one of the best ways for potential clients, prospects, people that you want to impact, for them to really get to know you, like you, and trust you. And that all happens by sharing your story. Now, we're going to be talking about the process of writing a book, publishing a book, marketing a book, launching a book. But I want to just say that I want to ease any fears that you might have about this whole journey. It's a recipe. It really is. If you can follow a recipe, you can write, publish, and launch a book. It's not that it's rocket science. Now, you do have to know the steps in the process, the ingredients. You need to know what order they go in, and you need to follow them along to a T. But I'm telling you that it is possible. It is doable, and it's a lot more feasible and doable than you think. And it can happen a lot quicker than you think. So we work with authors of all different types, primarily all nonfiction, personal development, professional development, leadership, et cetera. And so when we work with authors in our publishing company, Performance Publishing, we take them on what we call the author journey. And I'll walk you through, and we're going to go through some of these steps in a little more detail throughout this, but this is really all this recipe is. I mean, the onboarding is more of the figuring out, well, what is your story? And I'm going to help you do that today. And then starting to write your book. Are you writing the book yourself? Are you having the help of a writer? Things like that are so, so important to know the steps in that process. There's editing, there's design, there's cover design, interior layout, there's production, which is, preparing files for print. There's ebooks, there's physical books, hardcover, paperback, and registrations, and all of these things that happen in this process. But ultimately, when you follow this recipe, you will become a published author as well. And so I want to just encourage you, if this is now starting to feel a little like, oh my gosh, is this overwhelming? If these people, we have helped hundreds, if not thousands of people realize their dream of becoming an author. And if they can do it, you can do this. But I will say for myself, I never set out to write a book. I never knew anything about publishing back in 2009. And so if I can publish and write a book, I know you can too. And this is why I'm so passionate about helping people to tell their story, because I know how possible it really is. Now, I want to show you a little bit of a different journey. So what I showed you a minute ago was the journey that when we're working with an author, it's pretty simplified because we're doing most of the heavy lifting. But I know many of you who are either listening to this, who are on the webinar now, or maybe you're listening to it later, you may opt to go a self-publishing route. And it is just as much of a checklist, a recipe, as if somebody's doing it for you. Yes, there's a few extra steps because you're putting on the hat of publisher, but it is possible. And so what we like to help people with, and what I really want to encourage on this webinar, is not just thinking of your author journey, from start to finish, let's get a book done. That's what the first part of this little bunny hill is over here to the left. What I really want you to start thinking about is not just writing the book, but once the book is done, focusing on really building your authority. And that's that next part of the hill, which is the authority journey. But I can assure you, and I'm going to show you, it's not as hard as you think, and you can do this. All right, let's jump into the first part of the webinar, and that's really to the writing part of it. And I want to give you some tips on how you can get a book written very, very quickly. And in fact, I'm going to say how you can really get a book written in the next 30 days. And I do believe you can. It is just a matter of making the time, because we all have 24 hours in a day, right? So that's the first thing. But there are 5 ways that I know that you can get a book done very, very quickly. And I'll go through each one in detail, but the first one is creating the right environment, then clarifying the topic, the message, the audience, have to have a solid outline, right, before you can get this out of your head onto paper. And then what kind of support do you need to go through that author journey and the authority journey? And we'll go through each one. So let's start with creating the right environment. Now, all of us are different, and we get inspiration in different ways. But what you need to be thinking about is, when are you the most creative? What time of day do you feel like you have the most, energy or creativity, I want to say, is, for me. So when I first wake up in the morning, I am a little bit of a zombie. I need my coffee to wake up. So first waking up is not my writing time. But come after being up about an hour or so, let's just say from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m., that is my prime writing time, because I'm creative, I'm focused, ideas just flow for me. I am not the person who's going to be writing at 10 o'clock at night, because my brain just is not feeling it at that point. But you might be the opposite. So figuring out, well, when are you the most creative? When do you have the most mental energy? It's super important to identify it so that you can be saving that time in your calendar. And I'll talk about that in a second. The other thing is, where are you the most creative? Some of you might be very creative in your office, right? And you aren't distracted. Others, like me, I am most creative in nature. I love to be outside, specifically around water. That just kind of gets my creative juices flowing. So where is that for you? Are you inside? Are you in your office? Are you out in nature? Determining that up front is going to help you to be successful with this. Then it's figuring out, well, wherever you're going to be writing, making sure that your space is just it is cleaned out. You have to clear your space. You know, it has been said that a cluttered space equals a cluttered mind. And this is so true. And this is so true for me. I have my husband is incredibly, everything has its place. And I'm sort of like that, but not so much. And there are two areas that you always know kind of the state of my mind, and that's my closet and my office. And when things are chaotic and hectic and I'm busy, things are cluttered. And when I have time to just kind of, really focus, I can clear things out. So what's the point of this? The point is you can't operate in chaos. So to think that you're going to be able to have creativity to sit and write and think, and there's all this chaos around you, it's going to make it really, really difficult. So if you're in your office, clear your desk. Don't have anything else out that could distract you. Don't have a pile of papers like, oh yeah, I've got to get to that, or mail sitting there that you need to go through. So find a spot that you can be creative at a time when you're most creative, and that it is clear and free of clutter. And then most important is you can't just wish and pray your text messages away, right? People are going to be trying to get a hold of you. That's a distraction for me. So if that's the case, when you're scheduling your writing time, get rid of that distraction. If it's your phone, put it in a drawer. If it's kids at home, make sure that you have somebody else watching them while you're writing. Whatever those distractions are, turning off the TV, anything that could create or pull your creativity away from you, you want to do. Because if you're serious about writing, you have to make the time and the environment to do it. And then finally, it is all about scheduling. Again, one of the things that I absolutely love to do is time block. I do a lot of training on time management and productivity, and time blocking for me is just the best thing ever, because if I block out my calendar, let's say from 7 to 8 a.m. or 8 to 10 a.m. for my writing, I won't schedule anything else in that time. And so that's what I'm going to suggest you do. Find your creative hour, and don't feel like you have to schedule a whole day to do this, but block it off in your calendar and don't let anything get in the way. Get rid of those distractions. Create that writing schedule, which could be based on, I want to write 1 chapter a week, or I want to write 2,000 words a week, but have a goal, schedule it in your calendar. That's the very first and most important thing, is creating that right environment. Now, once you've done that, this is when we need to focus in on, okay, well, what is my topic? What am I writing about? And this is an exercise that I have done for thousands of authors through the years, and it works in terms of giving you clarity on what is your story. We all have a core message. We all have something that just naturally we are either drawn to, or we're passionate about, we have experience with, we share with other people to help them in some way. So one of the fastest, easiest ways to get clarity on your topic is to do an exercise. We call it the passion experience exercise. And it's really just taking a sheet of paper. You could do this right now. Grab a sheet of paper. You can even grab a little sticky sheet. And on the left-hand side of this T chart, you write the word passion. And what you want to write in this is you want to list as many things you can possibly think about that you're passionate about, things that light you up, things you love to do. I'll give you some examples from my own. So I love personal development. My background and just a quick story is I met Zig Ziglar when I was 18 years old. I told him I was going to work for him one day. I started working for him when I was just out of college. And that was the beginning of my love for personal development, professional development. It's just kind of in my DNA. I love the beach. I mean, I'm destined to live at the beach someday. I'm in McKinney, Texas. I'm landlocked right now, but someday I want to be at the beach because I am the most creative. I'm most myself when I'm by the water. I love seminars. I love people like you who come to learn and develop and grow, like-minded people. I'm passionate about that. I'm passionate about my pugs. We have 2 dogs, Rex and Rosie, who are silly, crazy, and I just love pugs. We have pugs on everything, mugs, stickers, t-shirts, you name it, but I love it. Babies, my faith, and there's so many other things that I'm passionate about, but those are just some ideas. So when you're making this list, you're not thinking about a book yet. You're just thinking about who you are and what lights you up. What are your passions? Now, once you have come up with as many as you can possibly think of, no less than 5, I want you to focus now on the right-hand side of this T chart. And this is where you're thinking about, well, what are my experiences? What is it that I've experienced in life. Some of us, like myself, I have experience as I've been in sales most of my life. I'm a mom. I've traveled. I've done lots of different things. And we all have experiences in those different areas. But many of us also have other experiences, significant experiences that were either positive or negative. For example, not all experiences did we want to experience, like divorce or bankruptcy or abuse or things, again, that are tough. But nonetheless, it is part of your story and you can't change your story. So right now, all we're doing is getting clarity on who you are. So you're going to do the same thing and create a list of at least 5 experiences in your life. And I'll share some of mine with you as well. I've always been in sales. I started my career selling copiers and then quickly moved on to work with Zig Ziglar and have been in sales my whole career. I am a mom. I have 2 amazing young men for my children. My oldest is 24, my youngest is 20. And that's a big part of my story and my experience. I've worked for Zig Ziglar, which I've mentioned, but that was a significant experience. So it goes on my list. I am an author. I'm a speaker. I do a lot of different things in that in those industries. Long time ago, when I was in high school, I was a dancer, got to travel around the world to do some amazing things with dancing a long time ago. But it was a significant experience, getting to dance at the opening ceremonies at the World's Fair in Australia. Pretty extremely awesome experience. And then this last thing on my list, I totally don't want to put it on my list. I certainly don't want to share it with the world, but I'm sharing it with you to help you to see how our experiences, even the bad ones, have a big significant part in our story. So when I was younger, middle school, even early high school, I had low confidence. I didn't feel really, comfortable in my own skin, and that led to low self-esteem. And I am sharing that because it was a significant time in my life. It affected how I thought. It affected my relationships, the people I hung out with. So I put it on my list. And I have many, many, many more, not so great experiences I could put on there. But I'm doing this for the example to show you why you want to have all that you can think of significant experiences on that side of the T chart. Now, this is where the magic comes in, though. So you are a combination of your passions and experiences. So when you look at your 2 lists, this is just who you are. Simple as that. But what it will also show you is clarity into what could potentially be the topic of your book. And let me show you what I mean. What you want to do is you want to look at both sides of your list and find an intersection, find a connection. Where do you have both passion and experience? And I'll show you some of mine. So for example, I love personal development. Those are the books I read. Those are the seminars I attend. I love it. I'm passionate about it, and I will never grow tired of it. And on my experience side, I worked for Zig Ziglar. Talk about the master of motivation and personal development. I learned so much from him. And so there's a connection there. There's a connection between my passion for personal development and all the things I learned working for Zig Ziglar. But you'll also see there's a connection between my passion for personal development and my experience of low self-esteem when I was a young girl. Why is that a connection? Well, when I remember being, listening to tapes back in the day of Zig Ziglar, Norman Vincent Peale, and all of these other authors to help boost my self-esteem, my mental attitude. So I read books, I listened to tapes, and those things helped bring me out of that negative mindset into a positive one. So there's a connection there. I love personal development, but I also had to use personal development to get me out of that mental state. So that is a perfect connection. And what's amazing is that connection actually was what my very first book was all about. Winning in Life Now, How to Break Through to a Happier You. It was not a story of my life of me being a winner in life. No, it was my ups and downs in life, the things that I learned from Zig along the way, and the things that I applied in my own life to boost my self-confidence, my self-esteem, and all of these other things that I learned. It's all in this book. You have a connection. And in fact, when you do this exercise, you're going to see you have many, many different connections. I can't stay on that for too much longer, but just know you will get so much out of that exercise if you just follow through those examples. Then once you have some idea of what it could potentially be, then start thinking about the book. Well, what is it about? What do you like? Let's use my example of personal development. So what is my book about? Well, it's about personal development. So about could be more of like, where would you find it in a bookstore? What section? Is it a leadership book? Is it a time management book? Is it a personal development book? Okay. What is its purpose is more of a, what do you hope, what do you intend? What do you want the reader to get out of this? Do you want to motivate them? Do you want to inspire them, teach them, warn them, educate them? Like, what is the purpose of the book? What do you personally hope to accomplish? This was kind of like the first question I asked you. Why do you want to write a book? What do you want to have happen as a result of you being a published author? Because there's a lot of time and resource that goes into publishing a book. So there has to be a big why behind it for you. So what do you want to have hope to accomplish? And then finally, why does your book need to be written? Now, if you are anything like how I was in the beginning, this is a hard question to answer because so many times our negative mindset wants to kick in and say, who do you think you are? You know, who are you to write a book like that? I did that for years saying, I'm no Zig Ziglar. Who cares about my story? But until you get clarity on why your story needs to be written, it's going to be hard to get it on paper. So I want to just challenge you to think, you know, what is unique about your story? Even if it's a book about a topic, you know, that's been covered a million times, why is it, what makes your part of it unique? And for example, you know, there's no new ideas under the sun. You know, Zig Ziglar talked a lot about goal setting in sales. Did he create goal setting in sales? Absolutely not. But did he use his own stories and his take on it to put his spin on it? And that made it why he needed to write his version. You have a version of whatever the main topic is that is unique to you. And so it's about owning that and being confident in that. Then thinking about, well, who needs to read this book? Of course, we want everyone to benefit from it, but really hone it in deep, as niched as you can. The more niched you get, the more people you're going to actually touch. Is your market women? Are they business owners? Is it teens, Christians? You know, who are the people that will most benefit? And where are they? Those are really important things to be doing and thinking about as you're getting ready to write, because this will help you as you're writing, as you're focused in on, okay, this is for these people. I'm going to use my voice in that way to speak to those people. All right, now step number 3 is creating a solid outline. You know, there's a lot of different ways that you can do this. I have a course called Bookbound Academy, where we teach people how to get this out of your head and onto paper. And it is an incredible resource and a process that we don't have time to go through in detail. I'll just give you the high level. But basically, all of those ideas that are floating around in your head, that is your story. But until you get them out of your head onto paper, it's really hard to start and finish a book. One of the ways that we tell people to do it is through a process of mind mapping, where really you're just thinking of anything you can think of around a certain topic. You can do some research on mind mapping if you like, but essentially it's taking the main idea of what is your book about, you know, I'll use Winning in Life now as my example. And then, well, what are some of the main ideas that I would want to share with someone about winning in life? And then those could be those main ideas. And then you break them down even farther and farther and farther and farther, where ultimately your core message becomes these silos of individual main ideas. And then eventually those things, then you start creating sub ideas and stories and so much more. But the exercise that we teach in Bookbound is really just allowing you to not overthink this. Grab some markers, grab some paper, and let's just get all of those thoughts out of our head onto paper in a way that is not a book yet. That comes later. This is just ideas. And then you can move things around. You can't mess up this type of an exercise. I like to call it throwing spaghetti on a wall and seeing what sticks, because when you get all these thoughts that are running around in here on paper and then step back and look at it, now you can move things around and make them into a logical order, which is what has to happen next. So that's how we do that. We suggest doing this with paper and pen. Yes, you can do this, or markers. You can do this on a computer, but I recommend that you do it, first with markers and such. The next thing, though, in terms of getting it out of your head on the paper, is you really do need to think about, well, how are you going to get your book written? And you don't have to write a book to be an author. So there's a couple ways. You might be great on a keyboard and just typing away and getting that story out of here onto there. That's great if that's the way you're going to write the book. But a lot of people, including myself, are more creative when they're talking. So there is nothing wrong with publishing a book by recording yourself talking and then taking that content and transcribing it and creating that into your first draft. Many, many, many books are done that way. So if that's how you're most creative, then talk your book, write your book, type your book, but determine what your best method is up front. And then start playing with those main ideas, which again, I call them silos. And the reason I love to call them silos is they're standalone concepts. So for example, like in my book, my standalone concepts might have been goal setting or confidence or balance or, all the different things I talk about in this book. And why that's important is books don't have to be written in order. You just have to get these thoughts out on paper. So if it's easier for you to start with one big silo that's over here, maybe that will be ending up as one of the later chapters. But when you just start on a concept and write everything you know about that concept and do that for all those main ideas, then pulling it together, and that will help you to get the book done quicker. All right, let's go on to step number 5, which is so incredibly important. So, and being an author, especially if you are around other people who are not following their dreams, building businesses, writing books, sharing their message, wanting to make a difference in the world, it's really hard to be motivated sometimes because you can get discouraged, especially when people aren't there supporting you, and probably because they just don't get it. So you always want to have a group of people to support you. And that's why you being on this webinar is huge, because you have to be around other people. And hopefully through this webinar, I'm giving you tools that will help you to get this done, because you have to do it. But the problem is most of us don't get things done that we want to get done. Writing a book, I've heard it a billion times, like, oh, I have this great idea for a book. I even know what to do. I just haven't done it. Well, at the end of the day, there's no lack of things we could be focused on. And so usually the reason we don't achieve our dreams and goals is not because we don't know what to do, not because we don't have the passion to do it. It's just because we don't do it. And that's failure to implement. My friend Howard Partridge talks a lot about that, wrote a book about that. And it's so true. And I've seen this with those who have come through Bookbound, our live course, Bookbound Academy, our online digital course, that if they don't have a community to support them, it's going to be really, really hard to get things done. So that's my point, is don't go at this alone. Get support. It's going to help you to, shorten the learning curve. You don't have to know everything. You just need to know the next step, and you need somebody to help you to show you how to do that. But also just to be encouraged and understood by others. I know our Bookbound community has always, we get each other because we're all going after the same things at the same time. And so that encouragement and support is so important. But also too, when you have a community, a coach, or anybody like that, they're going to push you farther than you might think you can go. And which I know anyone who wants to write a book can do this. But sometimes we all need a little bit of encouragement and a nudge along the way. So it's that accountability that is so critical in achieving your goals. And just real quickly, I'll share what we're doing. So Bookbound Academy, I've been doing Bookbound since 2010, so a really long time. And it is a course designed to teach you everything to write a book, publish a book, launch a book, build an authority platform, and so much more. It goes way beyond just a book. But we've designed it in a way that you can access all of this information through a digital course called Bookbound Academy. And this is something we are literally just launching. The course has been around a long time, but we just reformatted it. There are now over 50 videos, all in different categories, to help you to make this dream of becoming an author a reality. And we have a self-paced digital course option. We have a live cohort option, which means a small group of us that are getting together to walk through a 6-week process of getting our books done. And in fact, our very next class is coming up incredibly fast here. So you want to check out the dates online there. But you can take a photo of that QR code, and it will take you to the details about Bookbound Academy. But again, or you can go to our website, Performance Publishing Group, and then go to the services section and then click on Bookbound Academy, and it's all there. But Bookbound Academy, again, is everything designed to give you what you need, broken out by modules. There are videos, so you can see all the different types of videos that would be within each module. Each module has anywhere from 7 to 10 videos. And then you can watch the video, you can download the worksheets, and it's all at your own pace. but at the end, you will have literally everything that you need to get the book done. And the good news is the way we're setting it up now is we're doing it as lifetime access, lifetime access, which means even if you're not ready for, say, the launching of a book part yet, you can get full access to the course, and then it's lifetime access. So when you need it, it's there for you. So again, the two ways to get involved is either just the self-paced digital course, go at your own pace. You get the modules, you get the videos, plus you get a bunch of bonuses. And again, right now, it's lifetime access. Or you can join us for our next live cohort class. Like I said, this next one is starting really quickly. The dates are there on the screen, but you can also, look for future dates if those dates don't work. But both of those QR codes, take a picture of them now so you have them, or go to our website, performancepublishinggroup.com, go to the services section, and then click on Bookbound Academy. And because this is pre-launch, the pricing is all inclusive. It includes the course plus the cohort, all like course I said already, but it's lifetime access. And for anyone that joins us in this pre-launch, you're going to get a one-on-one free coaching session with me, in addition to the live cohort, which is taught by me. So you get 6 weeks with me plus a one-on-one coaching session, and all of that for $3.99 or $9.99 during this pre-launch process. So I want to just make sure I get that out there to you so you have that. But ultimately, I just want to wrap this up by saying on the publishing or on the writing part of this, it will never be a lack of information keeping you from your dreams. It's just a lack of implementation. So taking massive action requires you to just realize that maybe you can't do it all by yourself. You do need, a community, a mentor, somebody to take you through the process. And I would be honored to be that mentor for you through the Bookbound Academy. So definitely check that out. All right, so now let's dive into the publishing process. I showed you the author journey. And again, if you are self-publishing, there's a lot of things that you have to know. We work with self-published authors as well as authors that want to work with a publisher, which is what we do as well. So let me just give you the high level, though, of the steps you need to be aware of. And the good news is if you've been following along with this webinar and you've started the process of determining your topic, you've started a process of putting together an outline, you're already on your way through these 6 steps in the publishing process. First one being the pre-writing. That is really determining, well, what is my topic? What would I write about? Then moving into the drafting is the getting it out of your head onto paper, putting together an outline, and then starting to just anything that comes to mind, start writing. This happens, by the way, long before editing, which, as you can see, is step number 4. So in that stage of drafting, we're not analyzing our writing. We're not overthinking it. We're just getting it out of here onto paper so that somebody can help us to make it read even better. But drafting, then revising, it's just kind of making sure you have the content. But again, it's not perfection as far as being ready for publishing, because perfection comes when you take it through the editing process. And some of the best money you will ever spend is with a great editor. You may not be a great writer, but no one has your story. No one knows what you know. And an editor can make anybody's story read better. So they're priceless. So once you're in that editing phase, that's really where things are starting to move. So those first 3 steps really are all for you to do, and they're totally free. You could be working on those 3 steps right now. And then when you're ready to have an editor, you either will, if you're working with a publisher like us, we will provide you with an amazing editor. If you are a self-publisher, you'll have to go out and find your own editor. But that's a really important part of the process. Then once editing is complete and it reads the way you want it to read, now we're going to start to make it designed visually the way we want it to look. And there's 2 parts of the design. There's the cover design, right? Front, back, or if it's a hardcover, the interior flaps. But there's also the interior layout of the design, which is, what kind of fonts are you using? Are you going to have any quote boxes or pictures or graphs? All of that gets done in the interior layout design phase. Again, that is somebody that you would hire as a self-publisher, you would find, or working with a publisher like us, we are going to handle all of that for you. We have amazing designers to give you multiple mock-ups of your cover, the interior, different fonts. We give you ideas, but ultimately it is your book and we design it exactly the way you want it, unlimited revisions. And then finally is the publishing. And a lot of people think publishing is printing, but that is just one part of publishing. Publishing means getting your book out into the world so where people can benefit from it. So yes, it could be a printed book, paperback, hardcover, or both. It is an ebook, right? So for those who like to download a Kindle, we get all that prepared for you. Audiobook. For now in the world we are in, an audiobook, especially if you're in the area of personal or professional development, is a must. That all happens in the publishing stage, as well as your registrations, getting the book in the Library of Congress, ISBNs, printed, and then finally distribution, which means getting your book available to be sold. All of that happens in that publishing stage. So high level, those are the steps in the process. I want to give you a little insight, though, on the different options you have to publish, because as I said before, there's no right or wrong way to get a book, bring a book to life. It really will depend on you, your goals, your budget, and how much time you want to invest in it. So I'm going to walk you through the three options. There's traditional publishing, hybrid publishing, and self-publishing. And there's pros and cons in each one. So you have to decide what's best for you. But let's start with traditional publishing, because most people know what that is. It's the big publishing houses, Thomas Nelson, Penguin, all of those big ones that famous people or well-known people usually will get a publishing contract for them to publish the book for them. Now, the plus on that, the pros, is if you get picked up by a traditional publisher, they're going to do everything and they're going to pay for everything. And in some cases, they may pay you. Now, as a first-time author, it's incredibly rare to be picked up unless you can prove that you have a massive platform and can sell a lot of books day one. Most new first-time authors don't. So traditional publishing tends to not be the best route. But the other reasons why it can be not the best route is you give up full rights of your work. They own it. It is no longer your story. And you give up almost all commissions. They take anywhere from 80 to 90% of the profit. And you have no control, meaning they can decide if they want to change the title of your book. They can change the interior. It's their book. So for a lot of us who this book is about our story, I know I wasn't willing to give up rights to my own story. So again, traditional publishing is a fit for some, but not for all, and usually not for a first-time author. First-time authors are going to fall typically between the next two options, which is self-publishing or hybrid publishing. And let me explain the two. Self-publishing is a great route to go, especially if you enjoy taking on a project, you want to learn everything there is to know about the process, and you want to dive head first into taking charge of this. That is what self-publishing is. And also if your budget is tight, because self-publishing is going to be the least expensive route to go. The pros are, though, you are the publisher, so you keep 100% of the profits, you keep 100% of the rights. It is your book. Nobody can take that from you. You also own the complete control process. You decide how your cover is going to look. You decide how it's going to be written. It's 100% in your control, which is awesome. Now, the cons, though, is because you have all the control, you're doing all the work. And for a lot of us who have either jobs or we're building businesses, sometimes taking on the role of self-publishing means taking on another full-time job. It is very doable. We work with self-published authors all the time. My first book, I self-published. But just know that you have more responsibilities, more decisions, because you are a publishing company at that point. And so you have to take those things in consideration. Is it doable? Absolutely. It's why Bookbound Academy was created, because those 50 videos are going to walk you step by step on how to do it yourself. So this is a great option. Again, if you enjoy taking on the work to get it done and you want to save some money, self-publishing is a great way to go. The other option is, we call it partner publishing. It's also sometimes called hybrid publishing. We call it partner publishing because we see it as we lock arms with our authors in that we want to help them to realize their dream of becoming an author, but we believe that the author should still get all the benefit. So there's still pros and cons, though, with hybrid publishing. The biggest con is you're outsourcing the work to get it done. So self-publishing, you're doing it all yourself. But anytime you outsource anything to anyone, you're going to pay more. So yes, that's one of the cons. You're going to invest more if you work with a hybrid publisher, but the pros are pretty awesome too. Number one, for us, we've been doing this since 2010. So we know we can get it done right. We can probably get it done faster, not probably, for sure faster than if you self-publish, because you don't have to learn the process. We're doing it for you, but we partner with you. So it's going to get done right. It will save you a ton of time, so you don't have to invest as much as you would in self-publishing. But the best part of our model is our authors keep 100% rights to their work, meaning it's theirs. We publish it for them. It's under our imprint, but ultimately they own the rights and they get 100% of the profit. I don't take their profits in any way, shape, or form. So it's a great way to go. Plus, they handle everything. It's kind of a turnkey white glove service. That's how we do it. And it is definitely the fastest way to get published. So your situation is going to be unique. Everyone is unique, but those are some things to think about. I always, it's kind of a jokingly way to say it, but it's really true. What do you have more of at the time or right now? Time or resources, money. If you have a little bit more resource and you're willing to outsource it, then that's probably a great way for you to go. Because if your time is tight, you're not going to have the time to really invest in taking ownership of self-publishing. Now, if the opposite is true, if you have a little bit more time and maybe your budget's a little tighter, then self-publishing is a great way to go. Either way, we support you, and that's what Bookbound Academy is all about. All right, to wrap up this webinar, I want to make sure I get to the launch part, because this is the fun part. You've written a book, you've come up with your ideas, you've gone through the publishing process of editing, design, production, and all of those things. You've determined your best path to publishing, whether it be traditional publishing, self-publishing, or hybrid or partner publishing like our company does. Now your book is ready and we need to get it out into the world. But the most important thing for you to know is just because you write a book does not mean anyone will know about it unless you launch your book. And this is something we help all of our authors with, because if you're passionate about sharing your story, you have to be equally passionate about building a platform that enables people to know about you, to know about your book, and to know about how you can help them. So getting that pre-launch preparation, talking about your book long before it's done, building Facebook pages and Instagram and maybe LinkedIn, depending on your genre, website, all of those things happening in conjunction with getting the book done so that when you launch, it's all ready to go. Creating a team of people that want to support you when you launch your book. My last book I wrote was Shine Through Your Story, and I had a launch team of about 50 people that were committed to helping me promote and launch the book. You can do the exact same thing. And in fact, that's what we recommend and walk our authors through in Bookbound Academy is leverage your network. People want to help you. They want to support you. So but you have to prepare in advance, creating that launch team so everybody's moving in the same direction on launch day to help promote your book and sell your book. And then all of the things that have to happen after the launch, right? It doesn't end with just launching your book. What are the continuous things that you're going to do to market yourself, to build your brand, to maybe it's webinars, maybe it's podcasting. For sure, I recommend doing a digital course around your book concepts. All of those things are just going to help build your authority, build your platform, which of course means you'll sell books, but more than anything, your book will be used as your business card, and it's going to open up so many opportunities for you as you build that authority brand. I've said it before, but if you haven't heard me say, you can't spell authority without author. And that is so true, right? The word authority can't be spelled without author, but that comes from a book I wrote a couple of years ago called The Power of Authority. And one thing I know for sure is when you are a published author, instantly that authority comes to you, not because of the words you wrote, but the fact that you are published. So there's such an it's easier to build this platform, this thought leadership or authority if you have a book, because the book is the door opener. It's going to get you on stages if you want to speak. It's going to open up opportunities to do coaching. It's going to open up opportunities to get on podcasts and so much more. So all of that happens in this launch process. And so it's really important to think of this journey as first it's, okay, figuring out, well, what is my story? But then getting the book done, getting it done right is one of the most important first steps you have to take. And then as you do that, these other opportunities that will only solidify your authority status come naturally as a result of you being an author. And again, there's so many different things that go along this process, and you don't have to do everything. It's a matter of figuring out, well, what is the goal for my book? What is my business? What is my industry? What will work best? And those are the things that we love to help people with, either as our authors or for people that are in that Bookbound Academy course. So again, just real quick, Bookbound Academy, if you're thinking of writing, publishing, launching a book in the next year or two, I highly, highly, highly recommend go ahead and get the digital course, because right now it's lifetime access. So even if you don't need it at this very, very moment, you will need it at some point. So you'll get instant login immediately. It's only $3.99 for the lifetime access. Going forward after this pre-launch, we're going to have an annual fee or a monthly fee. So right now it's just forever $3.99. The other option is to work with me personally over a 6-week period in what we're calling a live cohort. And a cohort means, think about when you went where you were in school. It's just a small group of people that are all going through the syllabus, if you will, together. And I'm your instructor, and I am there every week. We meet once a week to go through content where you get access to the full digital course. So there's going to be things and assignments that I have you do through the course. But the goal of this cohort is to work individually and specifically to your needs. What do you need? What are we going to do together over the next 6 weeks to help you realize this dream to write, publish, and launch your book? And all of that is, again, you can click on those, just use your cell phone, take a picture of those QR codes, or just go to performancepublishinggroup.com, go to the services tab, and then click on Bookbound Academy. And the bonus of what we're doing, aside from this being lifetime access, which again, we're not going to do going forward, but right now we're doing it. In addition to that, though, in addition to the 6 weeks with me in the live cohort, I will do a one-on-one coaching session with you, and we can navigate and strategize on any of this, whether it's, what's your launch plan going to be, or how do I really, figure out my topic, whatever your needs are, I'll work with you one-on-one. So that is it for the webinar today. I hope this gets you started. I will just encourage you and say, in all the years I've been doing this and in all the books I've written, I've yet to meet a person who has regretted publishing their book yet. In fact, consistently, I just hear, I wish I would have done this sooner. There's never going to be a time when you're any less busy. So if this is important to you, you feel like you have a story that can impact someone personally, professionally, I just want to say, do it now. It's not rocket science. Everything you need to know is in Bookbound Academy. Go back, re-listen to this webinar, but just do it. And I would love to be a part of that author journey with you. So thanks everyone for joining. We'll see you next time. And again, go to performancepublishinggroup.com, services tab, Bookbound Academy. We'll see you next time.